Assalamu alaikum. This is Mohammad Atiqur Rahman, Assistant Professor, Department of English, Tajuddin Ahmad Gov.college, Gazipur. How are you, everybody? Hope you are safe and sound. I'm fine here. I'm here with another English class on WS question. Actually, in my last class, I talked about WS question. I hope you have already got some ideas about the different WS words, their meaning, and the different structure. Today I'm going to give you some details and some more structure about the WS word. So let's get started. Hope you will enjoy the class. First, look at some interesting structure here. Actually, I did it also. I also mentioned it earlier. Which plus noun, house plus noun, how plus adjective. These are all very important actually. House plus noun means whenever you house as a WS word, we have to mention the noun just after the house. As for example, house shirt, house behavior, I told it earlier, house car, house, etc. House result. So whenever you use house as a WS word, we have to use a noun just after the word house, then the auxiliary verb, then or do it does, then subject and the rest of the sentence. Which plus noun, it's also very important. Whenever we use which, we also have to use a noun just after the word which. Just I said in the earlier, the which languages, which countries, which cities, which newspaper, all these are very important structure. I think you have got the point. Yeah, whenever we use house, we have to use the noun just after the word house, and when we use which WS word, we have to use the noun just after the word which. For example, which cities, which countries, which newspaper, which languages, etc. Then come to a new point actually, how plus adjective. It's a new one. I did not mention in my last class. Look at the sentence actually. Here is my second sentence. The pond is 20 feet deep. The pond is 20 feet deep. Or if I say the building is 50 feet high, or the road is 10 feet wide, something like that actually. So whenever we use adjective like that, we have to use how plus adjective. So we have to use the how plus deep. If there is long, we should use how long. If there is wide, we should use how plus wide, etc. Then the auxiliary verb, then the rest of the sentence. We have a different structure obviously for this kind of sentence also. What plus noun. If we say what is the depth of the pond, it's also correct. There is no problem. But if we say how, we have to use deep or its adjective just after how. Or if we use what, we have to use the noun form of the adjective. In that case actually you must know the noun form of the adjective. So it is better to just use the use the adjective after how. So I think you have got the point. We can answer the question in two ways. How deep is the pond, or what is the depth of the pond? Is it clear? Thank you. So now come to the past sentence actually. Have a look at the first sentence. Bangladesh became independent in 1971. It's a very important one. In 1971, it's the year when we became independent. We gained our independence in 1971. So there is certainly year, not only year. If we say we became independent in December, in winter. I was born in winter, in February, in April, in December. So whenever you see any date, any time, any season, in all these cases, even other morning, night, in all these cases, we can use WS word when. So when means, I think you know the meaning of the sentence very well. So whenever you see a date of the year, a month, the time of the day, etc., any season, we can easily use WS word when. So there is no auxiliary verb in this sentence. So we have to use when plus did. I think you know the point. You have got the point why you have to use the did became. It's a past form. So whenever the verb is in the past form, we have to use did just after the WS word. Another very important point, whenever you use did, you have to use the base form of the verbs. Look at this structure very carefully. Never forget this. It's a very simple rules. It's actually general or universal rule. Do, did or does plus verb are base form. So after do, did or does, we have to use the base form of the verbs. Whenever you use this, not only for the WS question, in any structure of the English language. So what can be your answer? When did Bangladesh become independent? Another very important point is that you must know the present from the verbs. So learn more and more verbs and their different forms. Now come actually look at the third sentence. The girl looks like a rose. The girl looks like a rose means actually the girl looks very beautiful or she is very attractive. Whatever may be. In this case actually it's a totally different structure. So note this sentence very carefully. These are most important sentences that most people actually often fails to make correct answer. These are more important sentence. I'm talking about the physical appearance of the girl. How she look like. Actually what is her appearance? She is ugly, beautiful or something else. So whenever we talk about the physical structure of a person, of a boy, of a man, of a girl, whatever, we use how plus adjective plus does. And what does the girl look like? Remember this structure very carefully or just memorize the answer. You can learn the answer by heart also. How does the girl look like? You have to write the word like at the end of the sentences. I think you have got the point. If you say she looks very ugly, the similar case actually we have to use how does she look like. Got the point? Thank you. Our Prime Minister is kind, pious and honest. It's also very important one. Actually, I am here talking not about the physical appearance of our Prime Minister. I am talking about just some quality of the character of our Prime Minister. She is very honest. She is kind, pious. In that case, we have as a different structure actually. It's also very important. So whenever we talk about the character of a person, the quality of his character, we use what kind of plus noun. What kind of person, what kind of people, what kind of man, what kind of lady, what kind of student, what kind of principal, all this. So if we talk about the physical, not only physical, the character, quality of the character of a person, we use what kind of plus noun. So we can easily answer this question. What kind of lady or woman is your principal? I told it earlier, our is a first person pronoun. So whenever you see a first person pronoun in the WS question, we have to change into the second person. So it should be your Prime Minister. Okay, thank you. The next one, I am fine, thank you. It's very simple. Everybody use I am fine. When we use this sentence actually, when someone asks us about how are you or how is she, in all these cases actually we use how are you. Actually it is only for our physical condition. If we are physically fit or unfit, we are sick or ill or healthy, we mean all these things about these sentences. So if you see a sentence like I am fine, thank you, I am fine, thank you very much, I am okay, in all these cases you can easily make a WS question, how are you? Now come to the next one. I borrowed my friend's car or bike. Borrowed, you know the meaning of the word borrowed. Actually I take a book for my friends, then I did not have any book, that's why I had to borrow my friend's book. So friends, you can clearly see a possessive, there is a apostrophe plus noun, my or his. I told you this actually in my last class. So whenever you see possessive, we use whose plus noun. It's another very important structure. I told you earlier actually at the beginning of the class today. So whose plus noun. So what is the noun here? Car, bike, all this noun. If I think I borrowed my friend's book, umbrella, anything can be, mobile phone, smartphone. So whatever the noun is, we have to use just the noun after the word whose. So whose car, whose bike, whose book, whose smartphone. Remember this. So as the verb is in the past from I borrowed, we must use did. The whose car or bike did you borrow? The borrowed, its present form should be borrow. See the next one. The airport is 5 km away from here. The airport is 5 km from here. It means how far, how distance. The distance of the airport from this place is 5 km. I told you in the last class actually, Russia is 300 km from here, Dhaka 60 km from here. In all these cases we use how far. So as I told you earlier, it's very easy, very simple. Now come to the another point actually. Yuri Gagarin was the first man in space. Yuri Gagarin. Gagarin, have you heard the name of this person? She is an astronaut, Russian astronaut actually, who traveled. He was the first man actually who traveled in the space. He is a Russian citizen, the first man actually. And Valentina Tereshkova was the first woman who traveled in the space. Remember this. Yuri Gagarin was the first man in space. What should be your WS word? There is no time, there is no reason. So you know When we have no any other options actually in WS question, I told you earlier, we in that cases we usually use how. And when we use how, it means Yuri Gagaurian, and Yuri Gagaurian is certainly the subject of this sentence. So we replacing a subject with a WS word, just remove the subject and write down the rest of the sentence. It's very easy, very simple. Thank you. It's 10:30 now. It's 10:30 now. In that case, actually, never use when. It's a different matter. So whenever it is your date or day, so we use when, season. But when you talk about the clock or time of the clock, in that case we use what time is it or what time is it now. If it's 10:30 or it is 15 minutes past 10, you know 15 minutes past 10 means it is 10:15. It is quarter to 11. It means it is 10:45. In all these cases, if we say it's 3 o'clock now, in all these cases we WS what time is it or what time is it now. My brother is a teacher, doctor. You know, teacher, doctor, these are professions. She may be lawyer, actor, actress, whatever be the profession. So to ask about somebody's profession, we use what plus be. You know what plus be means? Be verbs actually. Be verbs, same is or was or whatever. There is an is. So what is my, we can have to replace my with our or your. So what should be our answer? What is your brother? Is it okay? So whenever we talk about professions or we ask to know about somebody's profession, we use WS question structure, what plus be plus subject plus extension. Dhaka is famous for most. It's a very easy one. So Dhaka is famous for most. You can see famous for. For means reason. So if we see why, because of, owing to, due to, I told it this all these things in the last classes, we can easily use why. So we can say why is Dhaka famous. But remember this, most of the people make a mistake here. Whenever you use why, we cannot use for. Remember it very carefully. When you use why as a WS word, we should not use for. But if we want to use what, it can be also done in different ways. We can easily say it. What is Dhaka famous for? I think you have got the difference between two answers. If we use what, we must use for at the end of the sentence. But if we use why, we must not use for at the end of the sentence. So we can do it in different ways. What is Dhaka famous for or why is Dhaka famous? Thank you. Let's see it. Look at another sentences. About 50 students attended the classes. About 50 students is a number. So whenever see a number, we use how many. I told it earlier actually. Whenever see amount or non-countable noun, we use how much. So to show the number or countable noun, we use how many, or to show the uncounted number or some amount, we use how much. So we can easily write down the answer, how many students attended the class. Nobody likes a proud man and everybody likes a patriot. These two are very, very important sentence, as there is totally different structure for these two sentences. So note down these two sentences very carefully. Nobody is a negative and everybody is an affirmative word. This is the difference. I am telling you again, actually I am repeating this word. Nobody is negative and everybody is affirmative. Not only nobody, no one, none, for all these things are negative, and everybody, everyone, all, for all these are affirmative. So if you say nobody or no one or none at the beginning of the sentence, we just replace nobody, no one or none with who. Just write down who in place of nobody, and the rest of the sentence. Never use do, did or does, as nobody is replaces by, it is a subject and it is replaced by a WS word. So we easily can write who likes a patriot. Now come about the what should be the answer. Everybody. Everybody I told it, so it's an affirmative. So if we say who, we have to use the negative. Actually we had to add a negative word. It can be doesn't, didn't, cannot, hasn't, isn't, anything. Whatever, if there is any auxiliary verb in the sentences, we have to use it and a not with the negative word. So what should be the answer of this sentence? Who doesn't, as there is likes, we have to use doesn't. Remember it. Who doesn't like a patriot? If the sentence was like that, everybody is unhappy, so we should write it who isn't unhappy. Everyone can do it, so who can't Those write this or note this point very carefully. The last one is he drives his bike 70 km per hour. 70 km per hour, actually it is the speed of his bike or of his vehicles. If I say the bus runs 100 km per hour, all this is speed. Whenever we talk about the speed, we have actually a different structure. We have to use how fast. Remember it very carefully also. Whenever we talk about the speed of vehicles or something like that, we have to use how fast. And then the rest, whatever we said in earlier, how fast does he drive the bike, etc. I think you have got the point about the different uses of the W solution. But I'd like to repeat some important points once again. First of all, we use or choose an appropriate W word. It entirely, totally, completely depends on the meaning of the sentence. Then if there is any auxiliary verb in the sentence, we must use the auxiliary verb just after the W word. But if there is no auxiliary verb, we may have to use do, did or does. But another very important point is, if we replace a subject with a W word, we never use do, did or does. Actually, most people make mistake here. Note down it very carefully. If we replace a subject with a W word, we just use the W word at the beginning of the sentence and write down the full sentence. We don't have to change the sentence at all. Thank you. Another very important point was do, did or does. Do, does, did. These are actually very simple rules. These are universally accepted. These are general truth. So after do, does or did, we of course have to use the base form of the verb. So we have to know the form of the verbs much actually. We have to know the base form, the past participle form, past form of all the verb. Try to know all these things. And how plus adjective, how beautiful, how deep, all these things also very important. Which plus noun, which shirt, which newspaper, which languages. House plus noun, house means possessive. Whenever you use house, we have to use the noun just after the house. So I think now it's very clear. It's a very simple matter. Try to practice these things. Practice makes man perfect. So if you don't practice, it is likely that you will forget all the structure very soon. I hope that will not happen. So keep practicing again and again. If you find any problem, you can mention it in the comment box. I'm always ready to share my ideas with you. So thank you everybody. Thanks for watching. Take care. Stay safe. Stay home. Stay safe. Allah Hafiz.